Arsenal may have the Premier League's most dangerous front three. Goal machine Viktor Gyökeres, a rejuvenated Bukayo Saka, and chaos creator
real transfer coup because Eberechi Eze was on his way to Tottenham.
Eberechi Eze.
Eze, lovely drop at the shoulder which bought him some space. Just effortlessly gliding forward here. Eberechi Eze!
But how good is this attack, and where does the new signing fit in? Last season, Arsenal scored 115 goals, but their attack still felt incomplete. On paper, those numbers look world-class, but if you watched closely, there were problems that couldn't be ignored. The main issue was the striker position. Havertz linked up play well and improved from the season before. He gave Arteta structure and attack, but wasn't a natural finisher, scoring just 9 goals and 3 assists in 21 starts. His expected goals were 9.58, so he performed as predicted, but not to title-winning standards. The gap to elite strikers was clear, best shown in the FA Cup against Manchester United, where Havertz couldn't convert his chances. Arsenal needed a true number 9. The second issue was on the left wing. Martinelli, who had been electric the season before, looked a shadow of himself. He played 33 league games but managed just 8 goals and 4 assists. For a team competing with Man City, those numbers were not good enough. Martinelli seemed to lack confidence and Arsenal couldn't fully rely on him. Trossard was an option, but he wasn't consistent either. He had moments, but not the kind of form that could carry Arsenal through an entire season.
And boy, that left-hand side is still dusty, man. Like, Martinelli's performance yesterday, honestly, Berta, get me a proper left winger. I'm sick of seeing his performances. I'm bored.
So while the attack produced goals as a unit, it wasn't balanced. Too much responsibility fell on Saka. Havertz wasn't a lethal striker, and the left side lacked a reliable threat. Arteta knew this had to change. He wanted a front line that could challenge City, and that meant going out and finding solutions. And that's exactly what he did. The first piece of the puzzle was a striker who could deliver goals at the highest level, Viktor Gyökeres. When you think about what Arsenal were missing last season, the answer is simple: a real striker. That's why Viktor Gyökeres is such a big deal. He's the kind of forward Arsenal haven't had in years. Strong, aggressive, always on the move, and most importantly, ruthless in front of goal. His numbers from last season were outstanding. He had an expected goals tally of 30.8, but he didn't just meet that, he completely blew past it, scoring 39 goals in all competitions. That tells you everything you need to know. He's not just getting into good positions, he's finishing chances at an elite level. His conversion rate was 28.1%, and to put that into perspective, Chris Wood had the best rate in the Premier League last season at 26.2. Only Kane at 30% and Haaland at 34% were better among the top strikers in Europe. So Gyokeres is already operating in that world-class bracket, and he's still getting better. But it's not just about the goals. The way he plays fits exactly what Arteta wants. He's physical enough to bully defenders, smart enough to make runs that create space for wingers, and he presses relentlessly, which keeps the team's defensive structure strong from the front. That's something Arsenal were missing with Havertz as the 9. Havertz is intelligent, but he doesn't stretch defenses in the same way. Gyokeres gives Arsenal presence. He forces centre-backs to stay occupied, and that alone makes life easier for players like Saka and Martinelli. Even in his first outing for Arsenal against Manchester United, you could already see glimpses of what he brings. He didn't score, but his movement, his willingness to run at defenders, and his aggression stood out. And that's just a start. Once he adapts fully to Arteta's system, he could become one of the most feared strikers in the league. With Gyokeres, Arsenal finally have that reliable finisher up top. Someone who can turn half chances into goals. Someone who can deliver consistently against big teams. And someone who can take the pressure off the wingers. That's why he's such an important signing. But the front three isn't just about him. If Gyokeres is the missing piece, then Saka is still the star that makes everything click. And with the pressure finally easing off him, this could be the season where he takes his game to an even higher level. Last season, Saka carried too much responsibility. Whenever Arsenal needed inspiration or a goal, everything came down to him. That constant pressure game after game took a toll. Arsenal played over 45% of their attack from the right side, which shows you how important it was, and you could see it as the season went on. He was still producing, he's too good not to, but the fatigue was clear. He was constantly doubled up on by defenders, constantly targeted because opponents knew he was Arsenal's most dangerous outlet, and with no proper striker to ease the burden, Saka was asked to do more than he should have. That's partly why the injuries came. He was overplayed, overworked, and Arsenal suffered when he wasn't fully fit because they were drawing games like the Brighton game. This season, things are different. With Gyokeres in the middle, defenses can't just load up on Saka anymore. They can't afford to double him up every time, because now there's a striker who will punish them if they leave space inside. That alone changes the way Saka will be able to play. He'll have more room, more freedom, and less pressure to be the one who always makes something happen. That's huge because Saka is already one of the most consistent wingers in Europe. Give him less burden and more space, and you'll see an even sharper version of him. Expect more direct dribbling, more chances created, and crucially, less physical strain across the season. With proper rotation options behind him, Arteta can finally manage his minutes instead of running him into the ground. A fresher Saka isn't just good for Arsenal, it's terrifying for the rest of the league, because when he's at his best, there aren't many fullbacks in the world who can live with him. And now he's not alone. With Gyokeres in the centre and a new wildcard on the left, this attack suddenly feels more balanced in a way it hasn't for years. And that brings us to the last part of this trio, the player who gives Arsenal something completely different, the chaos creator Eberechi Eze. If there's one player in this trio that brings something Arsenal have been missing for years, it's Eberechi Eze. The way he plays football is different. He's not just a winger or a midfielder, he's a player who carries the ball with elegance, but at the same time, he destroys defensive structures with his dribbling. Last season at Crystal Palace, he showed just how good he is at progressing the ball from midfield into dangerous areas. He can drop deep to receive the ball, glide past 2 or 3 opponents, and suddenly, Arsenal are in the final third with numbers. And this is exactly what makes him so valuable to Arteta's system. Arsenal have relied heavily on Ødegaard for creativity in central areas, but when teams press Ødegaard out of the game, Arsenal's attackers look predictable. With Eze, that problem is solved. He's another player who can operate in the half spaces, link midfield to attack, and most importantly, beat a man one-on-one. That kind of unpredictability is something Arsenal haven't had consistently, especially on the left side. Eze also adds balance to the trio. While Saka stretches defenses on the right with his width, and Gyokeres pins centre-backs back with his movement, Eze thrives in between, drifting inside, finding pockets of space, and dragging defenders out of position. This creates room for runners like Martinelli or even Ødegaard himself. And when you watch Eze closely, you'll notice how calm he is in tight spaces. He doesn't panic, he doesn't force passes, he waits for the moment, and that composure is going to help Arsenal in big games, where small details make the difference. Another key part of his game is set pieces. Arsenal already have good delivery from Saka and Ødegaard, but Eze gives them a different type of threat, whether it's direct free kicks or corners. Imagine the options Arsenal now have. Gyokeres attacking crosses, Saliba and Gabriel dominating aerially, and Eze providing the delivery. That's a recipe for goals in games where open play chances are harder to find. Defensively, Eze isn't lazy either. At Palace, he pressed intelligently and worked back when needed. Under Arteta, that side of his game will only improve, and once he adapts fully to Arsenal's pressing system, he won't just be a luxury player, he'll be an essential cog in both phases of the game. In short, Eze is the piece that ties everything together. He gives Arsenal the dribbling and unpredictability they've lacked. He relieves the creative burden on Ødegaard, and he connects midfield with attack in a way no one else in this squad can. If Saka is the finisher and Gyokeres is the enforcer, then Eze is the connector, the player who makes the whole system flow, and that's why this trio feels so complete. You have a reliable goalscorer, a world-class winger, and a playmaker who can destabilize defenses on his own. But of course, none of this matters if Arteta doesn't know how to use him properly. So the real question is, how does Mikel Arteta fit him into his system and make them work together? First option, the left-sided 8, Xhaka's old role. This is probably the most natural fit. In this position, Eze won't be stuck out wide. Instead, he'd have the freedom to carry the ball through pressure, link up with both the winger and striker. That's something Arsenal have missed in recent times. Think about when Granit Xhaka played there. He brought balance and discipline, but he didn't carry the ball through lines or destabilize defenders with dribbles. Eze, on the other hand, thrives in those moments. He can glide past markers, create overloads, and open up space for Martinelli on the left. In fact, this could be the key to reviving Martinelli's 2022-23 form, where he bagged 15 goals and 5 assists. With Eze attracting defenders inside, Martinelli would get cleaner one-on-one opportunities like he used to. Second option, as a left winger. Now, this might surprise some people because Arsenal already have Martinelli, but look closely at the contrast. Martinelli is explosive and direct. He wants to run in behind, attack space, and hit you with speed, and this has not worked in the league for a while. Eze is different. He's deceptive and creative. He slows defenders down, makes them commit, punishes them with skill or a quick pass. Having that variation is massive for Arsenal, especially against low blocks where pure pace doesn't always work. Sometimes you need someone who can unlock the defense with trickery rather than just running at them. Eze can be that player. He's not there to replace Martinelli, but he gives Arteta another weapon, almost like changing gears when the game is stuck. Third option? As a number 10. This role is probably less regular but still very important. If Ødegaard ever gets injured or needs rotation, Eze can step in. He's not a tempo setter like Ødegaard. He won't dictate the rhythm of the entire attack, but that's not necessarily a weakness. Instead, he's a chaos creator. He destabilizes defenses, he makes things unpredictable, and sometimes that's exactly what Arsenal need. Too often when Ødegaard isn't on the pitch, Arsenal look flat in the middle. With Eze, you don't lose creativity, you just get it in a different form. He's less about controlling possession and more about creating moments of danger out of nowhere. So the real answer is, Eze isn't limited to just one position. He's a tactical wildcard, and Arteta loves players who can play in different roles. That flexibility means Arsenal can adapt to different opponents without losing their identity. And this is where it gets exciting, because Eze's versatility doesn't just give Arsenal options, it also changes the dynamic for the rest of the attack. When you look at Arsenal's attack, one thing that often gets overlooked is balance. Saka carries a huge load on the right, Martinelli stretches the pitch on the left, and Havertz is everywhere, pressing, linking, dropping deep. But what Arsenal have lacked at times is that extra bit of unpredictability. Someone who can shift the rhythm in attack and force defenses to adjust in ways they don't want to. And that's exactly what a player like Eze brings. Think about it. So many of Arsenal's goals come from structured build-ups, rehearsed movements, and well-drilled patterns. That's their strength, but it's also their limitation. Against teams that sit deep and wait, those patterns can be slowed down, and suddenly the attack looks predictable. That's where Eze changes the picture. He doesn't follow the script, he tears it up. He can take the ball in a crowded area, glide past a man or two, and immediately turn a static attack into chaos. That unpredictability doesn't just create openings for him, it also frees space for others. A defender stepping out to deal with him leaves Martinelli or Gyokeres with more room. Arsenal already have one of the most exciting squads in Europe, but what makes this trio so important is balance. Gyokeres gives you unpredictability and late runs the defenders struggle to track. Eze gives you flair, creativity, and the ability to unlock defenses in ways Arsenal sometimes lack. And Saka will give you more flair. Put these three together and suddenly, Arsenal's attack doesn't just look good on paper, it looks complete. Different skill sets, different strengths, but all complementing each other perfectly. That's the kind of blend that turns a very good team into a team that can actually win the biggest trophies. But what do you think? Can this attack win games for Arsenal? Well, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out our last 2 videos on Arsenal's squad. Thank you.